Amen. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for attending our webinar today. And we hope it's going to give you some great information and give you a little bit of information to help your business. And we're going to go ahead and start. So we're going to talk today about protecting your business from ransomware. Presenters today are myself. I am Kevin Scott, and I work with ITS. I've been here for about 3.5 years and learned a whole lot about IT since I've been here and ways to protect your business. So we're going to talk a little bit in detail about that. And we're also going to hear from Eric Torres, and he works for Datto. He's the director of channel development. And Datto is one of the devices and the companies that we work with here at ITS in order to safeguard our clients from cyber criminals and protect their businesses. As far as ITS, we have been around for over 30 years helping small to medium businesses with their technology. And we provide customized solutions and back those solutions up with a very personalized customer service experience. Our main areas are voice, bandwidth, and managed IT services. So voice solutions, our go-to solution is a voice over IP business phone system, which if you've never looked into has absolutely incredible features. If you're still on analog phone system, you're definitely missing out on many of those great features that we can offer. We also do a lot with networking and bandwidth, so internet solutions. Instead of being stuck with an AT&T or a Spectrum and the limitations that they have and the poor customer service, we can actually manage that for you and give you a much better experience, a much easier service experience. We actually answer our phones with a live person when you call, and we can come up with some creative ways to make sure that your uptime is there and that you get the kind of internet and networking experience that you really need. And of course, we do complete managed IT services, and that's where Datto comes into play. But we do solutions for backup. We also can help with different compliances. All of our technology is HIPAA compliant for one. We have the NIST 800 for those companies that are in aerospace and work with some government contracts where the security is really, really important. And those companies are held to a high standard, so we can help not only to achieve that standard, but to maintain it and give you reporting on it as well. So that's a little overview of ITS's offerings. And next we're going to hit the news. So maybe some of you guys heard about the Colonial Pipeline and ransomware attack. If you didn't, I highly doubt that you're on this webinar right now. But what happened? Ransomware attack. Cyber criminals, Russian hackers were able to infiltrate, and it was a group called the Dark Side, and that can't help but remind me of Star Wars. But the message here is that you don't need a Death Star to create some major disruption in the IT business. What happened? Somebody got access to a password for a user that was no longer using the system, and through that password, they were able to use the VPN or virtual private network to access the sensitive data in the files and actually shut down a pipeline. So needless to say, a big deal. Now, the thing that we really want you to take away from this webinar is that you don't have to be a huge entity or a huge corporation to worry about this, because those types of companies definitely have IT in place, they definitely have securities in place, and they're still able to get hacked. But it's a lot easier to hack into a small to medium business that doesn't have those defenses in place. So it's really important that you consider your IT portfolio and your security, and we can definitely help you with that. What is ransomware? I think most people know and have heard the term, but bottom line is ransomware is when a cyber criminal can get access and control of your data and your sensitive information. So what can they do with that sensitive information is, number one, they can hold it away from you so that you cannot access it. You can only imagine a financial manager has no access to his client profiles and their accounts. So that's really a big deal for most businesses. Now they could possibly hold that data away from you, or they could possibly threaten to post sensitive information, the secret recipe, for example. So there's really a lot at stake here, and it's very important to take the proper precautions. The problem with ransomware is that even if you pay the ransom, no guarantee you're going to get your data back, and no guarantee that they won't attack you again or pass the information to their cyber buddies. So how does it happen? Well, basically, as you can see from the top three items there, the email links, the email attachments, and the website attachments, those certainly comprise the largest sector of how these things happen. And so what that equates to is clicking. And that's something that we always say here at ITS, is that unfortunately your employees are your weakest link, because without them clicking on these links, these cyber criminals generally don't have the access into your systems. So it's really important that you train your employees in order to know not to click. And here at ITS, we do have a lot of creative ways to do that. We can actually initiate some phishing attacks and pose as a cyber criminal, but it's more of a training exercise so that you know who in your company is clicking on links that they shouldn't be. So why should you be concerned? Ransomware is on the rise. And you can see 1 in 5 small to medium businesses have been affected. That's 20% of small to medium businesses. The downtime is the big one. It takes you a long time to recover from a cyber attack if you're not properly prepared without a business continuity disaster recovery plan in place. We're going to talk a little bit more about what that is. But imagine not having access to your data for a week. How much would that actually cost your business? Now, the average ransom demand, $5,600, is a lot of money, but really the true cost of this comes into play with your downtime, because you're basically unable to conduct business as usual. And that's where you can really spend a lot of money, not to mention the money that you have to spend in IT support and getting things resolved. 60% of businesses can go out of business within 6 months of suffering a ransomware attack. So again, this is something that everybody really needs to be concerned about and raise their awareness. So what can you do? Well, you can conduct a security risk assessment. How do you do that? Call us at ITS, and we actually offer a complimentary security analysis for your system. We can help find little holes that might exist, and we can help to fill those holes and create a more stable and secure profile for you. Training your employees, again, don't click those links. If it's anything that's in doubt, you need to stay away from it or check with somebody in your IT department or management. Using multiple layers of protection, this is a big help to use two-factor authentication on different access to different sites, especially your most critical data. Keeping software up to date, that one is very obvious, but nobody likes to sit there and wait for downloads to happen. So with ITS, we have ways to get those downloads done automatically when you're not trying to finish a presentation, for example. We can do that at the right time and set that up for you. And also, you want to create straightforward cybersecurity policies so that people know what to do and what not to do and who to turn to if a situation does arise. Backing up your data. This has probably been a theme forever, but there are a lot of different ways to back up data, and they're not all created equal. So that is why we have Datto as a corporate partner, because they have an absolutely awesome system and software as well that can help to keep you protected. Enabling uptime. Now, again, this is a business continuity disaster recovery plan. So this is the what happens if your company gets hacked. What do you do? So with Datto and with their devices, we are able to enable uptime, meaning you can get back up quickly instead of waiting that week or more to get your systems back in place. Know where the data resides. Again, this is something that the IT company should be working with the staff at any given company and communicating so that the correct licenses and access are in place, and you have, again, a solid security plan in place. Controlling access to computers. This could be as simple as turning your computer off before you leave to go to the restroom or lunch or whatnot, but it could be more involved as well. And again, we can help review your IT security plan and help implement a really solid plan for your business. And so that's what I have for you so far. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Eric, and he's going to take a deeper dive into Datto, some of their products and services, and how they can help your business.
Sure. Let me just share my screen here. Datto is the world-leading provider of business continuity solutions. We partner with the experts that are out there like ITS that they design and build these beautiful networks. We are simply one of the tools to make sure that that data is always protected and always viable if and when something bad happens, specifically the cyber threats, as Kevin was sharing. Now, he had the example of the Colonial Pipeline, but those are the examples we see in the news, the big headline stories of attacks like that, but there's also these smaller ones. Here's an example of one that's just an allergy center, a single small business that's out there that they actually went down for 8 days. And this attack ended up the ransom. This is the largest small business ransom that I personally have seen. And this one was earlier this year in February, but 1.75 million was the ransom ask. And the reason being is these bad actors, they knew what kind of data they had. They knew that they're under HIPAA compliance. So you have to take these things into consideration when it comes to your own network, what kind of data and what kind of laws you have to follow if you do end up getting breached. And these stories are not few and far between. So how often is a business hit with ransomware? I have a ton of stats, just as Kevin was sharing as well, but a business was hit with ransomware every 13 seconds. So if you think about that, that is businesses of all sizes. These bad guys, they're taking that shotgun approach. Sometimes they get those Colonial Pipelines. Sometimes they get those allergy clinics that have that healthcare data, but they're targeting every single business. That's what we all need to think about. And ransomware is so prevalent that actually in Q4 of last year, our own Department of Treasury listed out a bulletin as to telling us what they're thinking about doing. They're actually thinking about making paying the ransom illegal, a federal crime, because of the organizations that you're helping fund. These are essentially terrorist organizations, and they want to make it illegal to pay them to keep this ransomware going. So let's look at who these bad people are. And in order to do that, first step is we need to look at the internet itself. Where you and I play, that's the surface web. That's where we have our news and our Facebooks. That's where we do our shopping. But below that is the deep web. That's where you have your healthcare records, your financial records, educational records. And then the dark web, which is a vast place, is where you can find this ransomware. You can find pretty much anything that you're looking for. That amounts to 96% of all web traffic. And that is where these cyber threats come from. So who are these threat groups? It starts with the ransomware developers themselves, and they are prevalent. They are out there, and they are continually keeping companies like Datto and companies like ITS on our toes because they're constantly evolving. Something else that we're looking at heavily over the past 16 months, insider threats. Ex-employees that have an axe to grind, especially if they had their hours cut back or were laid off or furloughed. Insider threats were a huge rise over 2020, where people are actively trying to sell their credentials on the dark web. Anytime you have this amount of money changing hands in the form of Bitcoin and ransomware, organized crime wants their cut. And believe me when I say these are full-blown organizations. These are not lone wolves in their basement that are doing these things. These are full-blown entities that are out there dispersing ransomware. And as I mentioned with the government thinking about making paying ransom a federal crime, it's because of these nation states. We are actively helping fund the nations that don't care for all of North America, both Canada and the US, but these are the type of groups that are out there. And then what we saw is the rise of Internet of Things and the amount of connected devices that were hitting your network, especially as all of us started working from home and thinking about all of the different ways that are different devices that are connecting to your home environments. I mean, my home alone, I've got my camera system, my locks, my lights, everything is connected, and all of that poses a risk. So the long and short is this: we want you to stay protected. And we have a means of doing that. And it first starts with understanding what you currently have. And I hear this all the time. I've got a great backup solution. My data is already in a data center somewhere. It's in the cloud. But that doesn't mean that it's all good and well. There are also on the rise stories of ransomware being deployed within your backup. These bad guys, once they get into your network, first thing they're looking at is your backup solution and then trying to delete that data. So that is the big difference. And I want everybody just tuning in today to get that understanding. There is a clear-cut difference between a backup solution and business continuity. A backup solution just means your data's sitting somewhere else. That's it. Business continuity means you have all the bells and whistles, all the features of making sure that data is safe and that you can recover at a moment's notice if something bad happens. So this is what ITS and Datto provide, true business continuity solutions. One of the features of our technology is this. So we've got a number of different backups that we're seeing that are being changed by these bad guys who deploy the ransomware. So what you need is a solution that's called immutable storage. Basically what that means is once you have your data backed up through ITS and Datto, you cannot change it. It cannot be changed. You cannot deploy ransomware within the backup. Our data sets are completely independent of each other, safely stored and securely stored so that nothing can change in that data set. We can confidently say that Datto and ITS have immutable cloud storage. We know that ransomware is running rampant. We've been talking about it for the past 20 minutes. It's an epidemic, but it's something that ITS and Datto are doing about it. So without getting too technical, I'll share with you the technology that we have here. And I'm a pictures guy. So on the left side of your screen, these are your critical business systems. That's your servers, your workstations, what you're using on a daily basis. What ITS does is they go and install a Datto appliance, backup, a business continuity and disaster recovery appliance. And then we're storing all of these snapshot images. As little as every 5 minutes, we're making these backups. We're checking for ransomware within the backup solution set. We're checking for ransomware in your network. We're looking at different applications and testing everything on every single backup that we take. Now, here's the rub. Here's what is the main difference between business continuity and backup. So we've got your data sitting safely and secured. What we can now do is in the event you experience a natural disaster, a ransomware attack, what we do is from our solution, we virtualize that data and get it right back up and running at a flip of a switch. If you get ransomware, we essentially rewind the hands of time and go back to 5 minutes before you got ransomware and bring everything right back to that state. Now, let's say that you experience a complete disaster. We've got your data also living in 2 data centers, one on the West Coast and one on the East Coast. We're also able to virtualize that data from our data centers. So if you do happen to lose your entire building, we just spin up your entire network, the same technology, same speed, and just say, okay, now you're going to work from this environment, this virtual environment, so that you can get back up and running. Again, I'm a pictures guy, so what does this mean for you and your end users? You're working, and for whatever reason, you cannot work. Maybe you got ransomware. What we do is we just go to the actual Datto appliance, and the ITS engineers get you right back up and running with the exact same software, the exact same applications, the same desktop background, even all your shortcuts, all your kids' pictures, they're all just as they're used to working, just virtually. Now, the benefits, obviously, this reduces downtime. It helps with your recovery time objective and recovery point objective. That's just an industry way of saying, how much does downtime cost you? And as I mentioned, we can virtualize from either our local appliance or from the Datto data center. Now, through ITS, they provide you with a number of different options when it comes to this, depending on the size of your network. Rest assured, we have devices that span networks of all sizes, whether you are a 2-person company or a 20,000 person company. So lastly, as I round this out, you need to consider the cost of downtime. And that is something that ITS and Datto can help you with. We know that the cost of downtime is absolutely skyrocketing. Just in the past 2.5 years, what we've seen is a 486% increase in the total cost of downtime. And here's what I mean by total cost of downtime. It's not just the ransom ask, it's about rebuilding your network. Depending on your environment, you may need new hardware if you do experience a ransomware attack and you don't have ITS protecting you. You may need to go through a forensic investigation depending on your business and just compliance reasons, and all these things come into play where we have seen steadily over the past few years, the overall cost of downtime is just getting more and more or higher and higher as these years go on. Now at ITS and Datto, we also have a recovery and downtime cost calculator. We can walk you through and estimate based on some quick questions about your environment, about your network, about your business, and we can estimate what downtime costs for you. Now, my biggest takeaway from all of this is have a second set of eyes on there. Have ITS come in and do that free security risk assessment and just take a look at what you've got going on, and maybe if nothing more, it's to have them tell you, hey, you guys are doing everything right, or they're going to uncover certain holes in the network that they've found and teach you and show you how their technology can help patch those holes and make sure that ransomware is something that you don't have to lose sleep over. To do all of that, to get all of that, we have you can email Kevin directly, kscott@itstelecom.com, or give them a call, 805-438-2701. So Kevin, if you could come back on, I know you've got a wrap up here that you want to share with everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Again, great points and great presentation, Eric. Thank you so much. As you can see from our presentation handoff, things never go perfectly. And so I think it's important to realize, you need great defenses up front. You need to have a firewall in place that blocks these malicious programs. But at the same time, you can't guarantee that no one is going to be able to infiltrate. And that's really where the business continuity disaster recovery plan comes in place. And you saw some of the costs of businesses that get affected by this and how much downtime costs your business. And obviously our solutions are way cheaper than that. So it's definitely something to consider. And we encourage you to reach out to us. When I'm prospecting for new clients, I hear a lot of, I think we're good. We're good. I think we're good. So instead of thinking you're good, how about knowing that you're good? And all it takes is a call to me or an email, and I'll be happy to set up one of our technicians to come out and do a security risk analysis for your business. So we really appreciate you attending and listening. And we're going to reward somebody with an extra, I think, $50. We're going to do a little raffle here. So let's see if I.
That's correct. I'm here.
Shilton, you're there. Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Eric. Thank you very much for this great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you can leave it on, but yeah, we have our raffle winner picks, and congratulations, and I hope I say this correctly. Congratulations, Mahmoud Haradwala of Farmers Insurance. You have won our $50 Amazon e-gift card raffle, so congratulations. And also, I want to thank all our attendees, as shared in our promotions. All attendees are going to be receiving a $10 Amazon e-gift card. So we will be getting that out to you very soon. So thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Kevin, back to you.
All right. Well, I guess that pretty much concludes it. So again, I hope that you've learned something new. And a lot of times it's reinforcement of hearing the same thing many, many times before you actually start to take action. But do take action before it's too late and before you find yourself in the midst of a cyber attack with no plan in place to deal with it. So we thank you so much. And if anybody has any questions or just needs a second opinion, we're here for you anytime. So thank you so much. Have a great day.